One of the hot topics in our world these days is Mass 8, and it's coming down the road here pretty quick. I'm just curious, your thoughts. You're a veteran, you've been around for a while, you've seen a lot of change. What do you see about Mass 8 and the latest iteration of Maximo?
Well, what I love about it is how it's pushed towards sort of unification and simplification, right? To be able to bring in things like health insights, predictive analytics, and some of the AI and machine learning pushes that they're doing all just from a single suite, I think makes a ton of sense. In the past, I think those have been like separate products. Seeing those all come together under a single suite, single umbrella, really exciting, and I think is going to push a lot of those solutions forward. How about yourself?
I agree completely. We've been working with IBM for months now, weekly calls actually. And from my perspective, this is Steve's opinion, I think the underlying product really isn't going to change dramatically. It's going to be a lot easier to put it together using, OpenShift, the Red Hat product, and Kubernetes. But it seems like the big changes are going to be under the hood, so to speak, on how it's architected and what the platform looks like. We've got a couple development labs now, and we've got an OpenShift loaded, and we're playing with the new WebSphere Liberty, which is slimmed down but scalable, but looks like a good improvement. So it's a lot of things that most people never see or have to interact with anyway, but it's having a big impact on our cloud configuration.
Yeah, from an infrastructure perspective, there's a lot of exciting things coming over. Just the ability to sort of have a single container that can be deployed anywhere on premise, in the cloud. So that's got to be a big effect on you guys. So it sounds like you're already at least knee deep in that evaluation and promotion of that solution.
Yeah, we certainly are. It's not a surprise for us what's coming. We've actually been involved in some of the development, so we're pretty excited to see it finally come out of the back room and see the light of day here sometime this year.
Excellent. I'm also excited about the new Maximo mobile solution that's coming out with it. Mobility is a big topic for us. So from your perspective, why is mobility important, and sort of what makes a good mobile solution there?
Well, for me, I've always been a proponent of mobility. I mean, you can't find a person, at least in this country, without a mobile phone. Some of us carry more than one, and multiple mobile phones are prevalent in some countries. It just seems like being able to use your applications where you are in the midst of what it is that you're doing would seem to me to just make sense.
Right.
And there's been an awful lot of opportunity in mobility, and everything, up until the last couple of years, just didn't quite meet everyone's need, globally. From my perspective, as someone that serves up a service, we're looking for neat, clean, functional, easy to use, easy to download, low maintenance, and I think a lot of those things are coming down the pike, and you guys have been very, very good at it.
Well, I appreciate that. I've always enjoyed a story that you told me in the past, less of a story and more like just something to think about was, the workers, the folks who do, the technicians, the folks who do a lot of the work that touches Maximo have traditionally always been mobile. Maybe outside of like the transportation space where the assets are mobile, a lot of folks work in plants where the equipment is static and workers need to travel to the equipment to do the work. So there's a sort of always been this use case And I feel like the technology now is finally starting to catch up to the point where, like you said, everybody's just about got a smartphone. Everybody's got the capability, tablets, phones, etc., to have Maximo at their fingertips.
Yeah, we excuse me, we agree. Joe's probably heard Joe Kelly in my marketing group's probably tired of me talking about it, but I do believe the evolution of this application Maximo that we all live with has really paralleled the improvement and ubiquitous communication. You know, when we first started using dial-up and 256K, and we moved on to higher bandwidths, and now bandwidth is not all the same. You know, it's the lower latency bandwidth is preferred. Wireless came along, and we've been through 3G, 4G, LTE, and now 5G is being deployed. All of these incremental steps in connectivity have just made it easier. Obviously, the phones are there, but some of the complex nature of the app that we're working with are just being enabled by this ubiquitous communication. I read a McKinsey report not too long ago that said that only about 25% of the shop floors in the US have wireless capability. So it's great to talk about machine learning and connected assets and all that fun stuff, but the infrastructure is lagging. And as 5G becomes more prolific, I think you're going to see more capabilities for mobile in places maybe where we haven't seen it in the past.
I agree. I think in the past, I've seen a lot of talk about sort of like offline first, where there's an assumption that you're just offline all the time. I think the more and more as time progresses, what I'm seeing, you're right, there's still a lack of ubiquitous Wi-Fi on plant floors, but more and more people are starting to say, hey, wouldn't it be great if we could outfit everything with Wi-Fi? And we're starting to see just more connectivity in this space in general.
Yeah, I agree. I think the need for connectivity for things other than Maximo is on the rise as well. You know, the year
Correct.
we just went through, health and safety are going to drive a lot of the need for wanting to know where your people are, what the condition is that they're in, and what their condition is. And I think you're just going to see a lot more connectivity deployed because of some of these things.
Couldn't agree more. That's great, especially the health and safety aspect of that.
Yeah, what was the song, Alex? We want to see what condition our condition is in. It just
That's right.
fired some neuron back in the back of my brain. I don't recall. Never mind. I've changed the subject.
You got it. I want to ask you if you had a good story, maybe about mobility from back in the day. Any good stories come to mind?
We did a project for a university not far from Cincinnati. Well, I don't even remember how long ago, but the hardware device will date the story. We set up a group of technicians at a local university on Palm Pilots once upon a time running Maximo. And it was not without its challenges, but the sponsor was adamant that it was going to change the world there. And actually, it worked fairly well for what it was they were trying to do at the time. It basically work order task, and the ability to check a box that they were complete. But I've got to believe that was 23 or 4 years ago, maybe, you know.
Those devices were great. The utilitarian mobile device, right? Just fantastic.
Gray screen, kick them down the floor like a football. They were pretty resilient little guys. I wonder if I've got one in a box somewhere. I should go look.
I definitely do.
Yeah.
Definitely do.
I always enjoyed being first adopter, you know, when something would come out. I always liked grabbing the first one. I used to joke I wanted to have a 4-digit serial number on whatever it was that I bought, in the way of a phone, or, you know, a personal digital assistant is what they were called at the time.
That's right. That's right.
Blackberries were hot, you know. Been a lot of stuff come and gone.
Absolutely.
Like looking back on the auto industry, the world is littered with mobility tools that are no longer functional because of speed or performance.
Absolutely. And we're in the same boat. I love being on the edge technology wise. So, one of the things you mentioned was, sort of time to value, right? So one of the good stories that we have, I actually sat in a conference room with an executive who was like, Alex, why is it so hard to just put a meter reading into Maximo using mobile? I should be able to just walk up, scan a barcode on a piece of equipment, put in a reading, move on to the next one. And I was like, interesting, have you seen this app that we have from MX Mobile? We downloaded it to his phone while we are sitting in the conference room. In less than 5 minutes, he had logged into his system, pulled up a piece of equipment, and logged a meter reading. So it's pretty cool, and definitely one of the good stories that we've got to share.
It's nice to see the eyes open up like that when you can do things like that, and it's a change.
Well, we love pushing the edge with technology. Obviously, we're talking about mobility here. Why did it make sense for A3J and Progitech to partner on this mass mobile offering?
Well, I think philosophy just kind of came together. Philosophically, we both looked at it the same way. Tools like mobility or Maximo or any of the related products, in our view, I believe, I hope I'm speaking for you correctly, they're meant to be consumed. And spending your time and energy trying to load them or manage them or protect them or deliver them, it's not productive time regardless of the business you're in. You need to be able to use the service. You need to be able to consume the service and not manage the product.
Couldn't agree more. I mean, for Maximo as a service, the ability to be available anywhere, anytime, and be secure with like a strong infrastructure backend. I mean, that, especially you talk about people having to, now work from home, not having to worry about things like VPNs or anything like that. They have access to Maximo when they need it, wherever they are, is sort of, your philosophy for Maximo as a service. It's the same from us. Just download the app, start using it. It's a time to value equation. I think we both sort of have a vested interest in that equation.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Alex.
I want to talk about another one of your offerings. It's something that we've collaborated on over the years. It's called Maximo Plus. Can you tell me a little bit about what Maximo Plus is and what benefits it brings?
Yeah, sure. I appreciate you bringing it up. It's, as I sit here today, I think it's another case of us being a little bit ahead of the market with thinking. I think today most people would call it hybrid. Essentially, we're taking some of the tooling that we use to manage Maximo, to monitor its health, its condition, to ensure that licensing is properly managed and deployed. Pardon me. And we're able to do that remotely. So it does not have to be in our cloud. It can remain with the client at the client's place of business or in their data centers or another data center. But we are essentially the responsible party for licensing, monitoring, some checks on DB's conditions and things of those things like that. And it seems to appeal to some people who are not quite ready to let loose completely. And from a licensing perspective, it works out very well for many of our customers. So maybe we were just a little early with it.
No, I love it. I think, it's sort of infrastructure best practices as a service is almost what you've got there. And I think from our perspective, the subscription nature to that hybrid solution really makes sense for us and a lot of our customers.
Yeah. And I think it gets better as we go forward here with, the adoption of Red Hat and OpenShift and all that fun stuff. It's going to make it so much easier to do what we have actually probably been doing for over 5 years already. It just hasn't really taken off.
That's funny. It reminds me of something that you told me earlier as well, which was, today, currently, this is the worst version of our products that you'll ever own, right? Our stuff only gets better, and you're subscribing to this stuff that is, expanding features, technology, etc. I love that analogy of when you think about it. Yeah, it's only going to get better from here.
I love that statement, and I use it a lot. I'm not sure how crazy the marketing people are about it when I tell my customers this is the worst version of my product you're ever going to see. And the initial reaction is a little bit of a cringe, but I hope I smooth it out by the time I'm done introducing the comment.
Well, it makes you stop and think about it. Like, wait a minute, what? The worst version, right? But then once you think about it, it's like, hey, yeah, this is pretty good, and it's only going to get better from here. So,
Yep, we agree.
so let's hop in our Back to the Future DeLorean, turn on our flux capacitor, and fast forward into the future a little bit. What's on the roadmap for Project Tech? What are you guys cooking up behind the scenes? Besides, obviously, you mentioned your work with Maximo 8.
Well, Mass 8 is certainly a big part of what we're concentrating on, but as we look forward, there's a lot of market out there for us, and things like GXP, pharma, some food processing, places that are a little more particular about how they do things. We have now 2 ISO certs, one for our cloud, one for our cloud delivery, and we hope to be ISO 9001 here before the fourth quarter of 21. And after we have our GPX offering deployed, the next step after that will be for us to take on FedRAMP. The federal government has a special set of requirements and needs that they're interested in seeing in a cloud, and the hurdles are a little higher, but it's almost like a stair step. You check the box on one certification and you're that much closer to the next. So for us, the biggest thing, of course, is to get Mass 8, to get it right, to make sure that our customers are comfortable and safe. And behind the scenes, we're going to be working with GXP and FedRAMP as we move forward.
Right on. I think those regulated industries, there's a lot to do there. So those ISO certs that you guys are working toward are certainly nothing to shake your head at. Those are tough to come by. But a lot of it truly is, right, just saying what you're going to do and then sort of do what you say you were going to do, right? Prove that you did what you said you were going to do, and be able to prove and document that.
Yep. Say what you mean what you say, and then execute on it. It's it's easy to say, but it takes some discipline.
There's a lot of discipline in that.
Right.
Well, very cool. That's exciting.
I'm curious about what's going on at A3J. I know you guys got some exciting things happening. Why don't you share with us what we can expect here in 21?
Yeah, I mean, for us, like I said, we're always pushing technology, and I think our focus right now is pushing our mobility solutions and the technology behind them. I think that probably the biggest thing that we're focused on right now, we've got a partnership with a company called RealWear that does a lot of wearable technology. They have like a headband that hooks up to a hard hat kind of thing. You speak commands to it and can interpret those commands into like actions on mobile solutions. So we're outfitting our apps to be compatible with RealWear. I think it's really going to be a boost for capability in the mobile space, because you're going to have things like Microsoft Teams or Zoom integration to be able to do things like see what I see with the technician, and then, oh, by the way, let's call up a work order and complete it, or take a picture and upload it, those kind of things. We've even got like a thermal camera integration off of the wearable device to be able to, take thermography readings off of equipment and upload those directly to Maximo. So pretty cool stuff there. Otherwise, we're working really hard to enable our customers and partners to be able to configure the apps through a studio style app similar to Application Designer and Maximo. So that'll be a big boost to folks to be able to do their own configurations within the app. And I don't know, beyond that, still looking at ideas for more apps, more features, and just whatever else comes down the pipe, we're pushing forward, pushing hard.
Well, that enhanced functionality is pretty exciting. Being able to connect to wearable devices. I'm a big proponent of visual, right? And we got into Zoom type conversations pretty quickly. That technology's always been around. Well, it hasn't always been around. It's been around for a long time, and its adoption really just happened this past year. It needed a driver. But
Yep.
when you look at mobility and people out in the workforce being able to share what they see or share a photograph or measure something from a temperature perspective and pass that along, those are just tremendous leaps forward in the kind of capture and information you can do. And as an old maintenance manager, I'll tell you what it does is it cuts down a lot of rework.
It does.
Somebody remotely can see what you're seeing and give you solid advice about what it is and what needs to happen. And you're passing along best practices in a very time efficient manner, right? Time to value thing that you like to talk about. It's quick.
Absolutely. Well, and not only that, but your hands are free, right? So you're able to work with your hands. You don't have to worry about, take your gloves off to touch the screen, or, getting grease or anything like that onto the device. It's attached to the hard hat. You're speaking commands to it, and you're able to work, in a hands-free mode.
Yeah, very exciting stuff. Very cool. I look forward to it.
The other thing I wanted to ask you about was this More community. So it launched probably almost a year ago?
Just about, exactly. Yeah, the beta stuff came up this spring last year.
So, and in that year, I've been part of that community and seen it grow tremendously. So do you want to just tell me a little bit about that community and where it came from and where it's going?
Sure. Again, a long time ago, far away, there was a really popular board on Yahoo back in the mid to late 90s where like-minded people would get together and exchange information and maybe even code, and people became friends long distance online. And we felt like the the user group community is very strong within Maximo, and we all got similar challenges. And regardless of what you're doing, particularly when you talk about regulated people, Maximo is made for them. The ability to exchange stories and information and to lend a hand to somebody who's going through something you're already done. If you've already plowed the dirt, there's no sense somebody else doing it. So being able to help somebody with something like that is kind of neat. And we felt a couple of years ago that the various communities had all kind of lost, I guess momentum would be a good word. And we thought if we could bring all that together in one place, where there wasn't a lot of, commercial promotion going on, where people could freely come and go and learn, exchange ideas, find information all in one place about where all the next gatherings of people are going to be, and what the roadmap for IBM is, and just a singular place for folks to gather, we thought was really important. And I believe it's come to fruition. We've got almost 1,200 users now, and it grows daily.
Well, that's fantastic. I know I've participated in it. It's been a really good resource for us, for me. And I look forward to continuing to participate, promote it. I hope people continue to come there and post questions, post solutions, those kind of things. It's a really neat area.
Yeah, it is fascinating to me too, because there are a lot of smart people. You're certainly an IBM champion, and there's a few of you around, but I mean, these people are all over the world, but they can all share similar data points and practices, best practices that really makes everyone's life better. And you know, it's almost like public service in a way for Maximo. I'm proud of it.
Excellent. All right. Um, I guess who you got coming up in the draft here for Cincinnati?
I believe they're probably going to go with a wide receiver. They're going to throw the ball a lot. I've given up on the offensive line. I don't just give Joe Burrow the ball, let him throw it before anybody gets to him. I think is going to be their game plan.
All right. I'll be looking forward to that Jets Bengals game this year coming up.
Can't wait. It's always a fiduciary event in my favor, so I don't think I can go wrong with that.
It has been an event
It
in your
has
favor.
been. See how Vegas looks at it when we get there this year.
That's right. That's right.
It's always good talking with you, Alex.
Likewise, Steve. I appreciate the time.